Welcome back to Film Snob HQ. We are still on the road to Avengers Doomsday, and a new era of Marvel has just begun. The year is 2008. Paramount owns the rights to a number of Marvel properties, and they're beginning the Marvel Cinematic Universe. At this stage, we don't know they're doing that. We only know that they've got two films coming out in 2008. One is a reinterpretation of The Incredible Hulk starring Edward Norton, which we'll talk about very soon. And the other is a little-known property called Iron Man. Now, if you're a comic book fan in 2008, you know who Iron Man is. He's like a kind of tier 3 hero. He's not a major one. He's not a big player like the Fantastic Four or Spider-Man or even Daredevil, but people know him, you know. But the rest of the world doesn't know who this is. They've cast Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, which is considered a huge risk. I should have my Iron Man Blu-ray up, shouldn't I? There it is, this gorgeous Mondo Steelbook. He's considered a huge risk because he had a bit of a rough time in the early 2000s, but Jon Favreau was at the helm and he insists the only way he's making this movie is with Robert Downey Jr. We have Terrence Stamp as Colonel James Rhodes, who would later be recast by Don Cheadle. We have Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane, who's a great first villain. We have Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. And this is the first origin story of the MCU. Basically, what happens is we're introduced to Tony Stark. He's this industrialist, this weapon monger. It starts very differently to most Marvel films. It's a cold open in the middle of the Afghanistan desert. He's in an army vehicle, and huge twist in the first 5 minutes, it gets blown up by a rocket, which happens to be a rocket that comes from Tony Stark's own company, Stark Industries. We then get a bit of a flashback. We see the playboy lifestyle he's led, and then we jump back to him being locked in this cave with a man named Yinsen, and they decide they're going to try and break him out, and that's when he creates the very first Iron Man suit. This is really a fun movie. It holds up incredibly well. This film is now almost 20 years old, and it is still a perfect film for me. The casting is excellent. Robert Downey Jr., we can't imagine anyone else as Iron Man. He is the perfect casting for it. Jeff Bridges is a fantastic villain. Pepper Potts is really sweet as not Pepper Potts. Gwyneth Paltrow is really sweet as Pepper Potts, and Terrence Stamp is really good as James Rhodes as well. I won't spoil it too much. I've already kind of spoiled it a little bit. I won't spoil it too much if you haven't seen it. It's crazy to think that this is where it all began. This film is so simply executed compared to where we end up in the movies Doomsday and Infinity War. Not Doomsday, Endgame and Infinity War, sorry, Doomsday on the brain. This is a really simple story of just a man in a suit just trying to fight other humans who are doing bad things. You forget that there wasn't always nanotechnology in these films. This suit he had to put on himself with the help of a robot. As we go through the Iron Man films and the Avengers films, we'll see different suit-up montages as Tony improves on his design. It's so much fun, man. It's a great action film. It's one that everyone can enjoy. And it's an excellent start to a universe that we didn't even know was going to happen. We also have the introduction of S.H.I.E.L.D. Clark Gregg, who plays Agent Coulson. You might forget him because he hasn't been around since the first Avengers film, unless you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's introduced in this film. And then in the post-credit sequence, we get Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson. I'm sure everyone watching this video has seen it, but if you've somehow dodged Iron Man for the last 18 years, watch it. Watch it before Doomsday, man. Watch it before Doomsday. Speaking of which, who do I think is going to show up in Doomsday? I would really like Obadiah Stane to return. I've heard rumors that Doctor Doom is assembling his own team of villains. It would be really nice if one of the OG villains in Ironmonger showed up as one of Doomsday's henchmen, especially given that he looks like Tony Stark. So I'm hoping, I don't know if it'll happen, but my personal hope is in Doomsday or Secret Wars, we get Obadiah Stane back. I think we're going to get an Iron Man as well. It might not be Tony Stark, or it might not be this version of Tony Stark, because obviously, spoiler alert for Endgame, his story ends. But I think we might get a Tony Stark variant. And I would love that. That would be very, very cool. In terms of War Machine, I think we'll probably get the Don Cheadle version of War Machine. I don't think Terrence Stamp will be coming back. And I do think we might have Gwyneth Paltrow. She was interviewed recently and she was very coy about Avengers Doomsday and said she didn't know what it was, but she knows what it is. This is also a pre-Disney film. Marvel doesn't get bought out by Disney until after Captain America: The First Avenger. The first Disney Marvel film is Avengers. And you can tell this is grittier. It's violent, it's dark, there's blood, which you'll also see in Captain America: The First Avenger, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, perfect film for me. I adore it. I think it's excellent. There's nothing else to say. Go and watch Iron Man, and we will see you next video. We're talking about Incredible Hulk.